This is LTV.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank creates success. EnterpriseBanking.com.
Hello and welcome to Inside Leominster. My name is Dean Mazzarella, Mayor for the city, and we're live this afternoon. What a show last week. What a show, what a show, what a show. Yes, we're live this afternoon, 4 to 5 o'clock, 534-1626. That's the number to call. And you want to talk about a show. We don't have to go any further than the guy that's made a big-time reputation. He's noted anywhere he goes, and they always say, "Are you Art?" from the Art Report.
I think you've been drinking some hot cider for being the holidays here,
Right
buddy.
there, right there. Spring water.
I'll tell you.
Gutter water.
Yes, yes. Speaking about gutter water, we were at celebrating the holidays of the daughters. They had the homemade vino. I don't touch it, but it smells great. And it was very festive. We had all the time, and all the typical. She married a Bruno, and Italian, the sweets and the food. It was unbelievable.
Well,
I'm back on my diet.
you are.
Yeah, for about an hour.
Well,
But
what?
very important thing coming up at the senior center. The registry this year. To renew your license, you need different documentation than just walking in and having your picture taken and passing an eye test.
Mm-hmm.
And on Wednesday, January 11th at 10 a.m., they're going to have a workshop on what your requirements are. You just need to sign up for it, and I strongly recommend it because I know some people that got turned away because you got to prove your citizenship, and you need more than one document, I believe, to show that you were born and raised or whatever. You're a citizen, and
I think I went to
it's all security.
I think I went to I took everything down to AAA, and I did it right there in like 10 minutes.
You see, a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I don't have AAA. Do you need to have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, though.
But it's nice
them
that
to
they're
be
having a
doing
little
that.
workshop to kind of let you know you got to have this. If you don't have that, you got to have this. You got to have the original birth certificate, not a copy. I mean, all that stuff is important.
Yeah, and another good thing. We went to the senior center for the presentation on healthcare, and that was very helpful to us. And it's a wonderful organization we have in this city down there at the senior center.
Yes,
it's just about it. They offer. I can't think of anything they don't offer. I mean, they'll even feed you. There's just so much going on there, and it's a great place. Instead of sitting in a chair and getting stale, go down there and have some fun, meet some new people, play some pool. There's a lot you can do.
I agree.
Other than that, the city looks wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And everybody, yeah, here's something. Do we have a new postmaster?
Not that I know of.
Because in the past few years, the Postal Service for our street has been very erratic, and it was often this and off. I mean, some nights it's been more after 4 o'clock in the afternoon than it has been any other time frame. But the last 3 weeks, it's here by at latest 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I know they had signs up they were hiring, so it could have been a lot of retirements, and they just didn't fill the positions yet.
Yep.
But it is getting better.
Yes,
so
good.
That's a good thing. We get the bills sooner.
Yes.
So we can support city and
Thank you.
everything else that goes with it.
Much
Having said that,
appreciated. Happy New Year.
Hope that, And the same to you and yours. And let's just hope we're still watching the Patriots come the new year. I don't know.
I hope so.
It don't look good. And Mr. Kraft has an announcement. I think he's going to retire himself and turn everything over to Junior.
Well, yeah, that's, that's okay.
That's just a formality, and his young wife.
He'll be calling the shots.
Oh, absolutely. His fingers on the button.
Yeah, of course.
You have to have a leader up front, and then you pass it on down. And if everybody passes it the way the leader passed it, you're going to be successful.
I don't know. I've had a conversation with a number of people this past week who are like, yeah, I'm ready. Here you go. Take the whole thing and just slide it over to the kids or somebody or sell it or something.
Yeah,
so.
he's been attached to his hip for a long time.
Yeah, he knows he's running out of time like we all are.
Oh, Jesus, I know,
well, it's reality. We're running out of time. Stay tuned. We have
we
have a good guest, an inspirational story tonight, a good guest. You don't want to miss it right here, 978-534-1626. Happy New Year.
Same here. Bye-bye.
All right. And just in case your rubbish got put out, so we decided, and the contractor decided, it picks up trash and recyclables, decided we'll just have a normal trash pickup week because it gets way too confusing. So they did it, but it got confusing. And so a lot of people thought it was a day delayed. We did put it up on social media. We put it up on the billboards. But somewhere along the line, maybe it didn't get changed on the website. But anyway, if it's out there, just leave it. And then next week will be regular holiday, regular trash pickup, regular. So Monday, Ward 1, Ward 2 will be Tuesday, and right along. So if your trash is out there now and it didn't get picked up, just leave it there. Thank you. We had Santa here last week. Can you believe it? It was a week ago that we had Santa here. Talk about time flies, huh? And it does. And so stay tuned because we have a really nice story. And you know me, I like a good story, and don't go anywhere. Stay right there. We've got a nice story, and then we'll fill you in on everything else that's going on in the city. We'll end it with the photos of the week and New Year's. I was saying earlier today in the morning briefing, when I was a cop, it seemed, and even when I was younger, everyone had that, I don't care if it was a little corner tavern or the bar in the corner or the neighborhood bar. Everyone had a New Year's party. And it generally was something, it went like this. It was set up as a buffet or a food or a sit-down dinner. But it was always accompanied with, pay one price and, open bar all night. And every place, the Knights of Columbus, the Elks, every restaurant, everybody had them. And that seems to have gone away. It maybe just people are like, yeah, I'm just going to go home and I'm not going to do anything and I'm going to watch TV, or maybe I won't do that. And maybe I'll just have a small house party. And even the house parties seem to have gone by the wayside. And people use these days to sort of chill, right? And let's face it, this year we'll have Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The city hall will be closed. So for a lot of people, it's a 3-day weekend. And then it's back to reality, or it's back to the full week schedules after that. And so a lot of people are just like, you know what? Go home, we'll get some food, we'll do this. We have a new tradition, and make some food, maybe have a few friends over, and then we'll just go to bed early, or maybe we'll watch the ball drop, or whatever. But yeah, it seems to have changed. It's not like it was, as they say. But we're going to take a short break, and then we're coming back, and you don't want to miss this. It's 978-534-1626. And we're back together. That was brilliant. I give full credit. Who did that?
Robert
did it. I give him very creative. Would you say, you guys? The 10, the 9, the 8?
Absolutely.
So-
Robert's on another level.
You guys are too young, but we used to have first night, and one of the things we used to do is drop the apple. Because Leominster, Johnny Appleseed, apple. And we used to do it down at the mall. And we had a crane set up. And they built this giant apple. And then we had fireworks. And it was a big celebration, big time. So, very creative. All right, here we go. Jennifer Crowley's my guest. And she wrote the foreword to this book. And the name of it is Hungry for Air. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I was thinking about hungry for air, and those words, those 3 words, play so much significant because it's not just about breathing and the disease that your husband had, but it's about a whole lot of other things. And I'm not sure that's why this was given this title, but it's pretty brilliant. Anyway, your husband, Tyke, they called him, but he was Francis Crowley, like the 18th. No, the 4th.
The 4th.
And we're all people that are my age and older and some younger are familiar with his dad, who was a dentist in town.
Yep.
His dad, who was a doctor. Everyone knew Dr. Crowley, like everyone knew. I don't know how the guy could like go to the store. I mean, he was world famous, right? And then another. I mean, it just went on and on and on.
Yep.
And it's pretty remarkable. So the story, it has a beginning, but it doesn't, because it's got several beginnings. And some of it is you met.
We did.
Which is a cool story. So go ahead, let's start there. You met this guy.
I
Tyke
did.
Crowley. Like, Tyke? What's Tyke mean? Because, you know, in Leominster, everybody has a nickname. In fact, a lot of people didn't know that, you know, that his dad, right? Because he had a nickname.
Yep.
Right? No, a lot of people don't even know his real name. They're like, what's his real name, right?
Well, that's the story, that when Tyke was born, there was no nicknames left because we had a Frank and a Fran and a Kip. And so then no one really knows where Tyke came from.
So if you say to people, hey, Kippy Crowley, like, Kippy Crowley, what's Kippy's real name? Like, it's Francis, but I bet you hardly anybody ever called him that.
Yeah.
Probably his teachers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so how'd you meet?
So Tyke and I met in 2008, right around this time of year, actually. It was a New Year's party hosted by the Appalachian Mountain Club. So I had just joined the Appalachian Mountain Club, and
that was one of his loves. He
loved the outdoors.
He was into everything.
Yep, and I did too. So I was looking for kind of another group of people to do stuff outdoors with, and our friend hosted this party, and so it was the first event that I had gone to, and Tyke walked into the room, actually with his girlfriend.
No! Whoa! See? That's not in the...
No, that part's not in the book.
It's not in the book.
Yep, and later in the evening, we played a game of Cranium, and there were like 18 of us there, and our friend Jen put me on the team with Tyke and his then girlfriend, and Tyke and I kept...
these things happen.
I know. We kept guessing each other's things all the time, and so people were accusing us of cheating.
Yeah.
And
So
then
the chemistry was immediately
it was there.
Love
Yeah.
at first sight. Right? I mean, that's what it is.
So then we ended up on a snowshoe hike together in Leominster State Forest a couple weeks after that, and we kind of started emailing from the group through that, and then he asked me out to dinner, and I was like, doesn't this guy have a girlfriend? So I kind of called him out on it, and he was like, oh no, that's done. So we went out to dinner, and the rest is kind
Where'd
of
you go
history.
to dinner? I want to see what his taste was.
Well, the first time we went to dinner, we went to the Boynton in Worcester. And then our second date, we actually went to the Acton Jazz Cafe and then went snowshoeing on Spectacle
All right,
Pond.
so he's being romantic and he's trying to be special, make these times special. And Tyke had a lot of interest, like all over the place.
Yeah.
He just loved life.
Yeah.
And it's before he was diagnosed that he just had all kinds of interest in just about everything. Art, and outdoors. And
yeah, and he has two different things. I mean, Tyke was born with cystic fibrosis.
Right.
So that,
But later on, he was diagnosed with another, but he just had a love for everything.
He loved life, yeah. Yeah, he really did. He was, he loved the outdoors, so we lived that life together. We hiked, we snowshoed, we skied. We just loved to do all kinds of things outdoors together. He was an avid artist. He loved to paint. He loved to carve, which he didn't do as much when we were together because he was building businesses and things like that.
You got busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
Like the snowshoeing's cut down to 3 times a year, and now we're back to reality. And so he was born with cystic fibrosis, and do you think that kind of set him in motion where he felt like, I know enough about this disease, I got to live every day, right? Every day I have to make the most of it. I got to enjoy myself.
Yeah, I think that CF made Tyke who he was, but it didn't define who he was.
And you say that. It's clearly there. That he didn't let it. But in his mind, he must have been thinking, hey, I don't know how much time I have.
Yeah, I mean,
could have 10, 20, they could find a cure, but it seems like he was like, I'm getting the most out of life.
Yeah, he talked about as a middle schooler, he was already knowing kids who had died with the same disease that he had, and here he's worrying about, am I going to make it to my 20s or adulthood? And, other kids are just worrying about their history test and who they're going to take to the dance.
For supper.
So I think he was almost
like
born mature and was forced to be mature.
And did you pick up on that right away?
I could tell that he was a special person. I didn't know about the CF for a little bit, but he just had a way about him. He was very confident. He had a great smile. He could talk to anybody about anything, and that's something a lot of people said after he died, was that he made you feel like you were the most important person in the room.
So after a while, when you found out about this, he's on a mission to enjoy life and experience everything he can, and you're on the 60, 80-year plan.
It was never a thought in my mind that Tyke wouldn't live as long as anybody else, because he had already beat the odds over and over and over again. And it was never a thought in his mind either.
Which is most people don't make it past 18, 20 years old, some even younger.
Yeah, a lot of his life, the life expectancy was just ahead of him. So when I met him, the life expectancy with someone with CF was around early 40s, due to just CF complications and things like that. So he kind of had always lived with that just looming ahead of him. Now, I don't know what it is now, but there are so many drugs and things now that are helping people live longer. But when Tyke died, he was almost 14 years past his second transplant, which is amazing.
So he had 2 lung transplants.
2 double lung transplants.
Oof.
So in 2000, he had his first transplant, which was a cadaver donor. And he recovered so fast from that. He was planning to run Boston Marathon, do all sorts of things. Yeah. And then within the year, he started rejecting. So then he and his family got worked up to have a living donor transplant. So each of his sisters donated a lobe of their lungs. So you have 5 lobes of your lungs, 3 on your right side, 2 on your left because of your heart. And so they each donated a lobe of their lungs to have a living transplant, which they don't do so much anymore. Puts 3 people at risk, and my mother-in-law had 3 of her 4 children on the surgery table at once.
Oh, my word.
And a lot of the book is, there was a lot leading up to that. It wasn't as simple as, let's approve these and do it.
Yeah, let's go through the drive up. This will be over in a couple of minutes. A lot of emotion, right? Risk, emotion.
Yep.
They always say, hey, there's a risk, but guess what? That 2% they talk about, or that 10%, they're real people. They're real situations.
But Tyke knew his best bet was to have family. And there were a lot of people that stepped up and said, hey.
Don't even think about it.
And he was like, you know what, my best bet is family. They're the closest genes to mine. If I'm going to make it, I think it's going to be family.
978-534-1626. Hungry for Air. And the forwarded, and it's a memoir, forward written by you. Yep. It's the memoir written by Tyke. So we'll talk a little bit later, because then later on he gets diagnosed with another disease. Yeah. And here you are thinking, this is the worst thing that can happen and everything, and then something else happens. But let's talk about why he wrote the book, because it wasn't a poor me.
Not at all.
I had a terrible life. Look at what I've been through. It was much different.
It was. Tyke had started to make his own company, and he had decided to become a life coach because he realized so much of what he went through in his life were strategies that people could use in their lives to overcome anything that they had been going through. So he called himself the life-tested coach because he didn't just study all of these practices, he actually lived them and used them. So through a lot of his procedures, he used hypnosis, he used meditation, alternative things like that. He used a lot of mindset reframing and visualization, and now those are proven techniques to help people go through things.
Right. This is how I got through this.
Yeah.
Now, you can go through it your own way.
Right.
But these are things that help me, and I'm pretty sure they can help you.
Yeah, so he had kind of refined those skills, and he had taken courses and certifications and decided to become a life coach, and he was doing an amazing job. He was already helping people.
So it was a career.
Yeah, that was going to be his career, and he realized writing a book about his experiences would kind of give him some credibility to it, and to say to people like, look, here's my story, here's how I've used these experiences. So it wasn't so much like, let me tell you my story, because Tyke was never like that. So many people didn't even know that he had transplants or that he even had CF. If you met him after those transplants,
you would never know.
You wouldn't have known.
It was really to say, hey, there's somebody out there that maybe I can help. And if there's a way I can help, and it's from writing a book, that's the way I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
And clearly it helped other people.
Yeah. And that's what I hope it continues to do. Now that he has died, the book is a way for his legacy and for his lessons to continue to live on. It's almost like a living gift of him still exists out there. And Tyke's motto was make each day count. And he had lived that.
Better than anybody.
And he wanted to show people that. Like, so much of the time we complain about little things and we get stuck on that. And he really wanted people to see, like, today, make a difference either in your life or someone else's life, and do it every day.
Right. In a college project, I did this thing. It was a business class, so I did this thing on. Now this is a long time ago, before internet, all computers, and my business was, if you think you have problems, so you write in. Right at the time, you write in and you tell us all your problems, and I'm going to get like 6 other people that are going to tell you their problems, and hopefully you're going to say, man, I thought I had problems. I really don't have. That's nothing compared to with this person.
Yeah.
So later on, separate from all of this, he doesn't feel well, and he goes for diagnosis.
Yep,
and
it was
tell us that part.
December 2014. We had actually just gone to the funeral of Tyke's longtime CF doctor, Dr. Kaw. And Tyke hadn't been feeling quite right. His energy was a little low. He could kind of like feel something in his abdomen. So he had some appointments scheduled right after that. And after biopsying his liver, they discovered that he had cancer. And then it became, which kind of cancer is it? Because it wasn't the primary cancer. So pretty quickly we figured out that he had esophageal cancer, which had already metastasized to his liver. So then it became, all right, hit this on, and Tyke was never really beaten down by it. He was kind of like, okay, I'm going to be cancer-free in a year. This is just something I'm going to go through. I'll do this.
And he had already built his whole life. This was the first disease was like training for the, right? I mean, now he had to put all his own, like, okay, I wrote this, but now I have to apply these again to myself.
And he did. So now oncology doctors didn't know him. Tyke's whole transplant team, all of his doctors knew him. Right. They knew of his resiliency. Right. They knew of his drive and determination. So now he had to teach these oncology doctors who he was. And one of them, his main doctor, was like, I don't know if you are my most interesting patient, my most challenging one. And Tyke's like, put me down as number one, because I will be. Yeah. And he was always...
remember my name.
Yep. He was always encouraging them to think outside the box, like, why don't we try this and this? So we went through the traditional routes. He did start chemo, and Tyke used hypnosis to combat the side effects. So he didn't lose his appetite. He actually was hungrier. Wow. There was one time where he sent me down to the cafeteria during a transfusion to get a second hamburger for him. And so he would use these hypnosis scripts that he had written himself to help him get through the chemo, get through the side effects of that, and recover. And he was doing really, really well till about March or April of that year, and he ended up with pneumonia, which we didn't.
Which is a risk.
Yeah, and we didn't realize it was pneumonia right away. We just thought he was kind of feeling run down from the chemo and stuff. So he had to stop chemo, kind of get better from pneumonia. He made me bring his jump rope to the hospital, where his oncologist came down and saw this guy with pneumonia jump roping in his hospital room to get better. And then after that, we started another round of chemo, the same chemo, and we could tell kind of by this midsummer that chemo wasn't working this time, which is common in cancer treatment. Right. So he could kind of tell that the tumors were coming back, and after the first round, his doctor said his tumors were 40 to 60% reduced. Wow. He said these were striking results. He had never seen them reduce so quickly in someone before. So what he was doing was really working. So then the late summer, early fall came, and we were looking at a different kind of chemo and also doing a radioembolization where they went in and mapped his liver and they inserted radioactive beads into the tumors. Right. So Tyke was encouraging them. They were like, we don't usually do this with chemo. And Tyke said, why not? Let's think outside the box. Why can't we do both? So we did do both. But then he started having trouble recovering kind of from that. Like each time he had a treatment, his energy didn't quite rise up as much back to his normal level. And in November of 2015, we ended up in the hospital. We suspected that Tyke was having an upper GI bleed. So we went in, they did an endoscopy to see if they could find out where it was. The doctor came out and like grabbed my shoulders and said, this is amazing. His esophageal tumor is significantly reduced. I've already called the oncologist and told them, keep doing whatever you're doing. I never see this. This is amazing. So we really had hopes that like
that's in November.
That was in November.
30 days later.
3 weeks before he died.
3 weeks.
So we were really thinking like this is great.
What
like
a roller coaster of emotions.
This is just a little valley. His oncologist came down to see him when we were in the hospital, and he said, Tyke, you know what you need to do? You just got to build your strength back up so we can get back to the chemo and like knock this out of the park. But Tyke never quite recovered from it. I think his kidneys were really worn down from 16 years of immunosuppressant drugs, and I think his kidneys kind of started to shut down. He went on dialysis, and I think their hope was, let's give the kidneys a little bit of support, and then they'll kick back in and he'll get better. But I think his kidneys were like, thank you, we can stop working now. Right. So
December 7th came?
December 7th came. Actually, 2 days before that, well, a day before, Tyke's best friend was able to make it in from Germany. And all the family was there, everyone was there. Tyke pretty much gave his own eulogy there in the hospital.
He was still awake and talking?
He was. Wow. Even, I would say within a half an hour of him dying, he was still responding to us. So, yeah, the next day, December 7th, we all kind of woke up. At one point, I was out in the hallway, and Tyke's mom, June, had said, I think things are changing. And we went back into the room, and I had already asked the nurses, like, what to look for if he was in pain or if he couldn't communicate or if he was uncomfortable, but I just kept checking in with him saying, are you okay? Or, you know, do you feel all right? And he said yes. And are you in any pain? No, he wasn't. And he wasn't on morphine or anything, even though we had it set up. I did, one of the hardest statements I've ever had to say was, I told him, we'll be okay. Like, I love you and we'll be okay, even though it was a lie at that time. I didn't know how I was going to be okay.
Right. Well, being okay means a lot. He needed to hear that from you.
I think he did. Right. I think he did. And at one point, the nurse asked me to step out, and which I wasn't sure why, but they wanted me to sign over that he could go to palliative care instead of oncology, which we had already discussed. And when I came back in, Tyke wasn't really responsive anymore at that point, but I kind of think he maybe needed me to leave so that he could start making that transition, and he really did just start to slow breathing.
See, you said it was going to be all right. That's what he needed to hear.
I know, but we were all around him. I mean, Tyke designed what he wanted it to look like. He told us like he wanted me here, and he wanted Simon here, and his mom here, and his dad here, and everybody was there exactly the way that he wanted it.
Yeah.
And so his breathing just slowed, and At one point, his fingernails were starting to turn blue, which is just kind of a sign of, the oxygen. And everybody put their hands on him, and the color started to come back into his hands.
That's wild.
And his heartbeat for a long time after he stopped breathing. I mean, more than a minute or two, I think. I just think his heart was so strong. So I really think Tyke decided at that point. I think he realized my body isn't going to make it, even though his spirit would have.
It's time.
While he never said that out loud.
I've been through it all. Everybody's been with me.
Yeah, which I think was different before this point. I think he said, nope, I'm not ready to die. I've got more to do. I think he probably still felt that way.
It's not giving up. It's not a battle. It's a journey, and along the way things happen, and it's all how you take it, right? And it's not easy. And you got to deal with it because it's in front of you, and you got not a whole lot of choices.
Yep, and to his dying day, he was so proud that it wasn't CF that got him.
He beat that.
He was not having any trouble breathing, which was, I think, one of his worst fears growing up with CF. He kind of knew this is how people die. They
Hungry
die
for air,
They die by
grab
suffocating.
A breath, even a half a breath.
Yeah.
Consciously, subconsciously, all day, every day. Right?
Yeah.
It didn't beat him.
Right.
The other one was a sneak attack. The other one was something he didn't prepare for.
We didn't plan for.
And what was the significance of December 7th?
It's more that it was a 7. So
sevens meant...
Sevens are really important to us.
Yeah.
Tyke was 7 years older than I was. My birthday is on the 7th. His transplant anniversary was on the 7th. We were engaged for 7 months. So that day when I woke up and I realized it was December 7th, I remember saying to him, do you know what date it is? And he said, no. And I said, it's the 7th. And he just said, okay. It was a way we would say I love you to each other, like in text, or oftentimes we would say the same thing. And so we would just look at each other and say 7.
7.
And now 7s, along with red-tailed hawks, are a big sign from him. So driving up here, I followed a car with a license plate with 2 7s on it almost the whole way here.
See, lucky 7.
Yep.
Wow.
So
this is an incredible story.
It is.
He didn't take the journey of poor me, and I'm just going to sit on the front porch.
Not at all.
Sit down at the lake at Speck and just wait for it all to come to an end. And it could be any time. And he took a different approach, and that was really what made him so different. So, what does he want? You wrote the foreword. You spent the most amount of time with him. What is it that he wanted people to remember, and what is it that you want people to remember about?
I think Tyke really wanted people to realize the best gift you have is today. And tomorrow is not a promise.
No. We hear that all the time.
And
but it doesn't really penetrate to everybody. Do you feel that way today?
Yeah, and I think we forget. You get wrapped up in,
madness.
And I will admit it too, you get wrapped up in it every day.
Yeah, down at Fine Leans trying to figure out what to get somebody who already has everything and is probably going to return it next week anyway.
Right, and what was most important to Tyke was just time with family and friends. That's what he was working towards, was to have more freedom to just spend time with the people that meant the most to him in his life. So I think make each day count, his motto, is something he really wants people to realize, and to do that either for yourself or for someone else every day. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be something little, by making a phone call or just remembering somebody.
Hey, and I say that a lot on my morning briefing. I'm like, do you realize what a text or a phone call or a note or a card? I get them at City Hall. I get handwritten from usually retired ladies and guys sometimes, and they'll write me handwritten. I'm like, this is incredible. It means it's like, oh
special.
Man, this is precious. This is right. This is important stuff. And little do people know what that means, because you never know what kind of a day somebody's having. Or maybe madness. You haven't seen somebody a long time. You're like, you know what? I can't believe we haven't connected. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been thinking about you, and wow, what a difference that makes.
And that's what I hope now, besides being able to share Tyke's story with more than just the people that I know or the people that he knew. Connection has been so difficult for us for the past few years with the pandemic, and I'm hoping his book will help connect people, because you read the book, you enjoy it, you think of someone who might like it, write a note and send them a copy. Yep. And then you're building that connection again with people that you care about, one person at a time. And I kind of hope his book will start that movement like that, and helping people connect again with people that they care about.
So can we expect a new line of greeting cards called
I would like to, actually.
Hawk? with little sayings and
Yep.
notes that you write to something, real quick things.
Yeah.
Like T-O-Y, thinking of you, and a little Red Hawk in the front, right? I mean,
Yep.
but that's the stuff that means a lot to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just like somebody was actually thinking of me, and maybe I had a hard day. Who knows, right?
Yep.
Phone call, a text.
Yep.
People used to stop at people's houses and knock on the door.
Right?
People don't do that anymore.
I know.
It's like, who's there? Why are they here? What are you coming to my house? Oh, my house is dirty. I don't want you in here. People don't do that anymore.
I know. We have phones and electronics that you would.
Which is kind of a good thing. You can do FaceTime. And
Right.
So there's some positive things about it which have actually helped.
But like
certainly
you
in
said, a
COVID, but-
handwritten note and a personalized thought that I was thinking of you, I think can go a long way
Like,
these
wow,
days.
imagine that. That's something you never forget.
Yeah.
It's always there.
And I hope his book inspires people. I hope not to diminish anybody else's problems because we're all going through things, but I hope people realize like, wow, like things could be a lot worse, or I could be struggling to breathe every breath I take during the day, and I'm not. So maybe I can do something else today to make today a little bit better for myself or for someone else.
I saw a guy that's amputee, and in his wheelchair was painting the porches of his house.
Wow.
And I drive by, and he'd say, "Hey, how's it going?" I said, "I don't have a complaint in the entire universe. What are you doing?" He says, "Oh, just painting the porches." Like, he found a way to do it.
Yeah.
And propped himself up and pulled
Yep.
it. I mean, I was amazed. I'm like, "Bud, that's no stopping you.
Yeah.
You aren't sitting home feeling bad for yourself."
Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is excellent. So, what happens to you now? What do you do for work?
I'm a teacher in Holden.
Yep.
So I teach third grade.
Nice. Oh, that's
So,
good.
yep.
And do you also teach these skills as well?
I try to.
Yeah, you can slip it in when you
Yeah,
can.
we worked on kindness in the month of December.
Kindness
so
is very important.
My students decided together to do 100 acts of kindness in a week, which was basically each one of us doing one act a day.
Right.
And to show this, we made a link, we made a chain, so they wrote down the act that they did each day, and we made it on a chain, and then
Wow.
they decided they want to make it go all the way around our classroom. So we took some estimations of how long.
So you use your math skills, your
Yep.
writing skills, your art skills, right?
Yep. So we're trying to make our chain go all the way around the room, and you know the
Wow.
kids.
That's
Some of them
pretty
got
good.
stuck on like I couldn't do anything today, and
Yeah.
they think it has to be something big. And
it
I'm like,
doesn't.
did you smile at your bus driver?
Right.
That's an act of kindness.
Hey, I let a guy out of a road, out of a side street today. He didn't even thank me.
Yep.
I was like, "That's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Have a good day," you know? Just little things like that.
Right.
Maybe he was in a rush. He was
Right.
nudging his way out. And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to let this guy out."
Yep.
He didn't even give me a thing. I'm like, "Hey, guys, maybe who knows? Maybe he's
Right.
late for an appointment."
You have no
good
idea.
luck, right?
Yep, that's what we don't
And that's
know.
good. Kids need to hear that. It needs to
Yeah.
become a regular part of their life.
Yeah.
And so you just continue on the work. Right?
hope so.
I mean, basically, you're taking on the work of Tyke Crowley. Francis
hope
the
so.
Fourth.
I know.
Imagine that.
I
Did you know
know.
what you're getting yourself into when you came here, and all of a sudden, you know, Crowley's like a common name, and everyone
I
knows a Crowley.
know.
and-
I come from a very small family, so
Oh, you
I-
related to this, right?
I
Mike
know.
Crowley is one of our sponsors here for Crowley
Yep.
Construction. You just can't escape it. I
You
mean,
can't.
Just,
You go somewhere and people ask me, "Are you related to?" And I'm like, probably.
well, and you have I mean, did you always have a good kind of outlook and attitude? I mean, it just
I
seems to
did.
be.
I think
Good.
personally, yeah.
Good.
And then I think
And that's
being
why you
with Tyke,
connected.
yeah, we just fueled that in each other. I think we really were just try to see the best in people and just live. There's so much good in life. Like, you don't get hung up on the bad stuff. You
Sure.
know.
And if you think about how long man has been around, it's like a lot,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, we're around like this much
I know.
of that time span. So
So make the best
make
of it.
the best of it. Thank you very much, and Happy
You're
New Year.
welcome.
Thanks for
Happy
sharing
New
your
Year.
story.
Thank you.
Oh, where can you get the book? It's on Amazon,
You can
right?
get the book on Amazon.
Yep.
Yep. Just Google Hungry
Let me
for
just
Air.
show the book real quick if you guys. Oh, you have a picture of it? Okay. And you can get it on Amazon. And where
You
else?
can get just Amazon right now.
Just Amazon? Okay,
yes,
good.
At the moment.
Hungry for Air. There you go.
Hungry for Air.
Nice job. Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
good. I'm glad you're kind of carrying this on. And good job.
Thank you.
All right, we're taking a short break, and we'll be right back here at Inside. That was a beautiful story, and followed by beautiful music from the Leominster Colonial Band. And yeah, what a story, huh? And the story is told, and it's there forever. His legacy lives on in a true legacy. Jennifer Crowley, wife of Tyke Crowley, and the book name is Hungry for Air, and it's a memoir, and it's available at by going to Amazon. All right, let's. You guys ready to do some clicking? And here we go. Look at you guys, right on. All right, here we go. Here are the last 7 days. 7 days here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it looks like 104,324 people were tested. 9,216 tested positive. Now, this does not count those home test kits. 96 deaths. One is too many. 96 is way too many. 1770 in all of Worcester County. And Leominster down there, and the positive tested was 1,226, and 115 tested positive. It's about a 10% positivity rate. And as you can see there, hospitalizations. There are 4,000 beds in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There are 900 of those beds are filled with people with COVID and COVID symptoms. ICU is 101. Intubated is at 38. Today in history, in case you didn't know, believe it or not, the 1921 was the first municipal-owned streetcars right out there in San Francisco. 1958, Chipmunks. Remember the song? Alvin! The hit was #1 in 1958. 1964, principal filming on Dr. Zhivago began. 1973, I bet most people didn't know this, but President Nixon actually is the person that signed the Endangered Species Act into law. And in 1991, Ted Turner was named, remember it was a, I'm saying to remember to Keith back there and Bradley, they don't remember, they weren't around. Were you? No. 1991, it was a big deal when Ted Turner became the Man of the Year. It was very controversial at the time. In 1993, Andrea Bocelli makes his classical debut. And 2000, this was kind of a bummer, 2000, U.S. retail giant Montgomery Ward. Well, we didn't really have any around here. I did visit some, and it was a nice store. But they went out of business. After 128 years, Montgomery Ward was a household name. And today, the national days of International Cello Day, Mongolia Independence Day, it's National Pepper Pot Day. TikTok Day and National Still Need to Do Day, whatever that means. Christmas trees are taken by the curb on your normal trash day in January. They will not take them if they're cut in half. I have no clue why. And they also won't take them if you've got them in one of those plastic bags. Trash day is regular day this week and next. Join us next week. We'll be live right here. If you can't get out, you can join us on Facebook. You can catch us live. It is our inauguration. We call it the midterm address, reflection on the past year and sort of talk about what's coming in the future. Swearing in ceremony. We give some awards. It's a nice night. All are welcome. Here are just some of the projects that we worked with in the last year. We did 16 approved applications for downtown facade programs. You'd see them at different locations downtown, but we helped to repaint and change the colors at the let's see, where did we do? We did Logan's. We added some outdoor seating with some canopies. And across the street, TC Lando's, we did awnings across the street. C&M Pizza, we repainted the building. There are a ton of projects that we did, but 16, not all are done. A lot of them will have to happen next year, next fiscal year or next calendar year. We did the final design for the rail trail near the train depot. Downtown Common Grant design, we're going to start that in January. We contracted with the Regional Planning Authority to comply with state's new affordable housing regulations. And a lot of these things like the hazard mitigation plan, they don't sound like really exciting. But in order to get funds, it's good planning, it's planning for the future. But, you know, communities that don't do this kind of planning won't get the funding. And they'll end up with the problems, but not the funding. And we're also completing the inside of Drake House, which you know is on Franklin Street. And the new 911 system at 210 should be completed in February. So moving right along. Here are some of the things that we did with some of the federal grant money. Hope you can see close. I can't. Police cruisers, fire improvements to fire stations, HAV systems, improvements to our schools, new equipment, defibrillators. New police station coming right along. If you haven't been by, take a quick visit by. June 3rd is the opening date. That's what we have. Brickwork is completed, doing a wash down. Most of them, done so much of that work, but this nice weather allows them to really catch up. So, Farmers Market are the third Thursday of every month from 4 to 7, November through May, inside, and then we go outside in the auditorium. Pictures of the week, guys. Are you ready for pictures of the week? I don't know what they are. Here we go. Senior Center Christmas party. Look at that, huh? They had a wonderful day, and that's, let's see, Life Care Center is the sponsor for this event. They do a ton for us, and we thank them. They really go out of their way, and we applaud them and thank them. They do it not because they want me to thank them on TV, because they do it because they know it's a community outreach, and it's just a nice thing to do for our seniors. Hey, there we are, an Italian Christmas, and you might recognize some of those faces, but, like all, everybody should be thrilled and excited about their heritage, right? They should. And whether it's your religion or your heritage or where your parents came from, your grandparents, that's what makes our city so exciting is there's so much diversity. And so here's a bunch of us Italian Americans having some fun. And trust me, the fun is defined as fun. TOMTEN bike donation. They took a bunch of bikes and fixed them all up. And what a wonderful thing. And you know what? A bunch of kids during Christmas Day got a chance to get bikes. DPW on the scene. So the DPW, we started with, remember, the flooding last week. So they started off the day pumping. Then they ended up, it got cold, so we ended up sanding and salting. Then when they were getting ready to go home, water department got a call that there was a water break on Posco Ave. Off they went. They fixed that leak, filled up the system again, only to find another one. These guys were out there for like a day and a half without any sleep. So a special thank you to them over the holidays. And look at Manusnauk Brook. This summer, I took pictures of it in August and July. It was dry. It's the first time I personally have ever seen it dry. Well, look at it now. Huh? Talk about what the difference in just a couple of months would be. And an ugly sweater alert. I don't know. I kind of thought it was creative, but there's the ugly sweater. I have not received my recognition for winning that contest, and I'm going to check in at HR tomorrow, and I don't know whether it's just been, I've been kind of pushed aside, and they don't want to, there were some good ones, but clearly that was the best. Get your overflow bags. You're finding yourself, you can't fit everything into those recycling bins. Those overflow bags are so big, Keith could stand inside one of them. So get them while you can. The class of 1949 made a donation. There is a flagpole up on the back entrance of the school. We call it the flagpole entrance. It goes into the cafeteria and to the auditorium. But there wasn't one in the front of the building. And the class of 1949 wanted to do something special. Many of them veterans, veteran spouses, and certainly supporters of our veterans. So they decided that they would donate a flagpole. And so I said, you know what, let's take this thing a little bit further to the next class that will be generating, and maybe the next class, the next two classes. And let's make it a project where they do some research, they pick a location, you know, do some background on the work, do some background on the product, and there we were, installing the pole. So first we had to dig the hole and mix the concrete, make sure that the ground sleeve was level. And then we came back about a week later with the class of 1949 to install the pole. So we had a really good time. And we had a little get-together with the 9 a.m. club over at our cafe. And those are some of the faces that you see posting on Facebook at 9 a.m. And we're going to do another one probably in January or February, and maybe do it on a Saturday morning. And a lot of these people that you see right there didn't know each other prior to our 9 o'clock morning briefings. And I'll tell you, really, you know, I went to a lot of events. We were fortunate to have been invited to so many. And the Merrimack Valley Bell Ringers were just superb. They were there at 7 o'clock at night and on a Sunday night just before Christmas. And they made it special. And I'll tell you, from the stroll to the parade to the tree lighting to all the school concerts to all of the church events that we were invited to, and to the concerts from the Colonial Band, to the Montechusett Chorale, to the Merrimack Valley Bell Ringers, it really was a special, after what we've been through in the last 2 years, it was a very, very special and magical season. And to top it all off, the city, through a grant program, made a $40,000 pledge and donation to GINNY'S to buy food for Thanksgiving so they could put baskets together. And Brandon does a great job, an excellent job. Brandon Robbins, also on the school committee, gets involved in the community, did an outstanding job. You should see how organized they were. It was amazing. And so it was a nice day, and Brandon took me around and introduced me and showed me the system that they were using this year, and it just moved. It just, some of these retailers could take lessons on moving people through the reception areas. And then, when I thought I saw it all, I was invited by Robin Korskini and Pastor Steve over to the Christian Life Center and did their chapel. And it was a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. It was maybe a half-hour program. Robin Korskini said, I can only leave you with this word, spectacular. And it was everything times 10. It left everyone in wow. It was unbelievable. A really, really nice job they did. And thank you for inviting me. And there we are, Breakfast with Santa. This was for kids with special needs, maybe on the spectrum, sensory issues. I'll tell you, it was so well organized, so well attended. And the fire department heard about this and said, we absolutely need to be part of this. And they were. Santa showed up, and it was excellent. Really, I'm going to talk a lot about this in my midterm. Just who we are, right? What a wonderful day, and a real tribute to all that helped out and provide sponsorships. Now, yes, we did take down the Christmas trees and the festival trees, but Winter Wonderland is still there. Come in and see Louis Charpentier's creations. A lot of them that you're going to see there are ones that no one else has seen. They're restored, and we didn't have them ready for Christmas time. Walk into the Winter Wonderland at City Hall. There you are. All right. Thank you for watching. And remember, be kind, be generous when you can, be nice, be patient, be well, take care of yourself, be frugal. Remember, the world is run by those who show up. You need to show up. Good night.
Inside Leominster is brought to you in part through the generous support of N.P. Crowley Company Incorporated and by DeCarolis Insurance Agency Incorporated, DeCarolisinsuranceagency.com, and by Enterprise Bank. Enterprise Bank, create success, enterprisebanking.com.
This is LTV.